Okay, I want you to try something with me. Close your eyes for a second. We're going to do a little visualization.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you are standing on the bridge of a massive starship. But erase what you know from movies. It's not the gray industrial metal of Star Wars or the pristine white plastic of Star Trek.
No rivets here, no steam pipes.
Everything around you, the walls, the controls, the floor, is made of singing crystal.
It's shimmering, translucent. It hums when you touch it, vibrating with the ship's energy. It feels alive.
Exactly. And you are exhausted. You've just traveled through a tear, in reality, a desperate jump through hyperspace.
You're fleeing a war that didn't just defeat your army, it turned your entire home planet into glass.
You are carrying the last 9 million souls of your civilization in a fleet of these crystal ships. You're grieving. You're terrified. And finally, the sensors ping. You reach a destination, a blue-green planet that looks like it might be a sanctuary.
But then you look at the tactical screens, and instead of a welcome mat, you see thousands of orbital weapons platforms locking onto you.
And you realize that to the people on that planet, you are the terrifying alien invasion.
And the planet.
It's Earth.
That is the killer hook of the book we are unpacking today. We are doing a deep dive into Exodus Prime, the first book in the Exodus trilogy by Faramars Nuruzzi.
And let me just say, this is not your standard aliens attack Earth blockbuster. It completely flips the script.
It really does. Usually we're the underdog humans fighting off the scary bugs or the gray men with the death rays.
Right. But in this story, the monsters, they're us. We are the scary, paranoid, weaponized civilization, and the aliens are these poetic, tragic refugees.
It's such a profound shift in perspective, and what makes Exodus Prime so unique, and honestly why it's creating such a buzz in literary sci-fi circles right now, is the tone.
Yeah, it's been described as magical realism in space.
It has.
So let's unpack that vibe check for a second, because when I read magical realism, I think of Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I think of 100 Years of Solitude. I don't usually think of lasers and hyperdrives. How does that mesh?
It sounds like a contradiction, doesn't it? But think about what magical realism actually does. It takes the impossible, or the supernatural, and treats it as mundane, or it treats the mundane as something mystical.
Okay.
In this book, Nuruzzi treats physics like poetry. You have the epic scale of Interstellar or Dune. Sure, you have space battles.
But the soul of the book is elegiac. It's melancholic. It feels less like an action movie and more like a long, beautiful funeral song.
That's a great description. It's not about conquest, it's about the long goodbye.
Right, it's about memory and how we resist death by refusing to be forgotten. It's asking, if your world is gone, does it still exist as long as you remember it?
Exactly, and that question drives everything the characters do. Speaking of which, let's talk about the people we are rooting for. The Vor'nai.
Oh, we have to.
Because Nuruzzi does some incredibly interesting things with their biology to reinforce this theme of emotion.
The hair. We have to talk about the hair.
It's such a brilliant piece of world building. The Vor'nai are biologically wired, so they cannot hide their feelings. Their hair changes color based on their mood.
It turns cobalt blue for calm, amber for worry.
And bright red for fear.
I love this because it just changes how the entire society functions. Imagine trying to play poker or lie to your spouse when your hair turns bright red the moment you get nervous.
It creates a culture of radical honesty. They value art, chaos, and raw emotion as the very essence of being alive. To be a Vor'nai is to feel things loudly.
And they live in these singing cities.
Yeah, where the architecture itself resonates with their songs. It's beautiful, messy, and deeply human in a spiritual sense, even if they aren't human.
Which creates the perfect contrast to the bad guys.
Yeah.
Because every good space opera needs a terrifying antagonist. And these guys, the Yelleth, they aren't zombies, they aren't dragons.
And they are geometric perfection.
Yeah.
The Yelleth don't hate the Vor'nai. Hate is an emotion, and the Yelleths don't have emotions.
Right.
They view biological life with all its messiness and emotions and art as a calculation error. They're obsessively trying to balance the equation of the universe.
So they're like cosmic accountants with the power to delete solar systems.
In a way, yes, but much worse. When they invade, they don't just kill you, they crystallize you. They turn living, chaotic worlds into silent, perfect geometric glass. They silence civilizations to make the math work.
That gave me chills reading it. It's like battling a weaponized spreadsheet.
That's a great way to put it. It's a war between chaos and order, The Vor'nai represent the beautiful mess of life, and the Yeleth represent the cold silence of perfection.
And this plays out in how they fight, too. This isn't just lasers versus lasers. It's literally a war of math.
It is.
Okay, we have to deep dive into this because this was the aha moment for me in the first half of the book, the decoherence canon. It sounds like technobabble, but the logic behind it is actually really cool.
It's fascinating stuff. So you have the lead scientist, Rella. We'll talk more about her in a minute. And she realizes that since the enemy is based on perfect five-fold symmetry, you can't beat them with order.
You can't outmath them.
Exactly, because they are math. You have to beat them with irrationality.
So she weaponizes pi.
Essentially, yes. Think about numbers like pi or the square root of 2. In mathematics, an irrational number is a number that never ends and never repeats.
Infinite chaos.
Infinite chaos. Rella creates a weapon that projects these irrational numbers into the enemy's lattice.
So she's injecting a decimal point that never stops into their perfect system.
Yes. She infects their perfect geometry with mathematical chaos. It causes their systems to try and calculate an ending that doesn't exist, and they shatter. It's such a clever synthesis of hard physics and thematic storytelling.
Chaos defeats order.
But, and here's the tragedy, using the weapon has a cost. This isn't a push-button win-war situation.
Right. Everything in Exodus Prime has a cost.
That's a central rule of this universe. To fire the cannon and save themselves from the Yeleth, they have to channel the energy through their own planet's core.
And they win the battle.
But the recoil shatters their planet's harmonic lattice. Kaelor, their home, is doomed.
Talk about a Pyrrhic victory. We saved the planet, but now the planet is breaking apart.
And that's the catalyst. They have to leave. Hence the title. Exodus. And this is where the story shifts gears. It stops being a war story and becomes a refugee story.
It really focuses in on a small group of characters that just break your heart.
You have Rayla, the scientist we mentioned, and her husband Vor'tal, who is this weary, noble warrior commander.
They are the power couple of the book. But Rayla, she goes through something pretty intense early on.
Intense is putting it mildly. She actually dies in an early attack. Her body is crystallizing, but her team manages to upload her consciousness into a new, artificial crystal body.
And she becomes the template for this massive ship AI called Synapticore.
Right, so she's sort of a ghost in the machine.
It's complicated. Synapticore is the massive collective memory of the ship, but Reela's individual consciousness is also preserved within it.
It explores this idea of crystallization, not just as death, but as preservation. If you can't save the body, can you save the soul? Can you save the memory?
The classic sci-fi trope, the upload.
Yeah.
But here it feels spiritual rather than digital.
It does.
But we can't talk about AI without talking about the breakout star of the book, the character that I think every listener is going to fall in love with, Vor'nab.
Oh, Vor'nab. He is the absolute heart of the novel.
Picture this for me. He's not a robot in the C-3PO sense.
No, imagine a small floating crystal, maybe a meter tall. He's an AI, but he's only a few weeks old. He's essentially a toddler with the processing power of a supercomputer.
He's learning to be people.
He is. And he's funny, he's innocent, and he's just deeply tragic because he's born into this apocalypse.
There's that one line he says, I wrote it down, I don't want to stop existing.
That line destroys me every time. It encapsulates the whole theme. Here is this artificial being, brand new to the universe, and he's already facing the end of it.
And there's that scene, I think it's pivotal, where the Yeleth attack a hospital full of children.
Yes, and Vor'nab realizes he's immune to their crystallization beams because he's already crystal.
So what does he do?
So this little floating geometric toddler flies inside the enemy amplifier, the heart of the Yeleth network, to save 3,000 kids.
Wow.
And he disrupts their hive mind not with weapons, but by singing anti-frequencies.
He sings chaos into their order.
It's heroic, but it's terrified heroism. He's not a tough guy. He's just a scary kid doing the only thing he can.
It's beautiful. So the fleet packs up, and the evacuation scenes, I was expecting action movie chaos, people running to shuttles, but it's not that. It's really quiet and sad.
This is that magical realism tone again. Nowruz spends time on the details of what people take. There's a strict baggage allowance.
Imagine having to leave behind 15 generations of family wealth, your house, your history.
And instead, you see a family taking a small, worthless crystal because it holds a grandmother's memory.
Or the artist frantically sketching her sculptures because she can't move the statues themselves. That image stuck with me.
Exactly. It's about the dignity of remembering. The book argues that we are defined by what we remember, not what we own.
It's like the fleet isn't just carrying people, it's carrying the memory of a culture.
That's it. It's very reminiscent of the town of Macondo in Marquez's work, Destined to Disappear, but the story of it must be preserved.
So they launch 412 ships, the Exodus fleet. They jump into hyperspace, aiming for a safe new home called Narian 9. But because this is a drama, it goes wrong.
A gravity anomaly, it pulls them off course. It's described beautifully, like floating inside mathematics, until suddenly they are ripped out.
And this is the big twist for the reader. They drop out of hyperspace in the Sol system, our solar system.
But the twist goes deeper than just, hey, it's Earth.
Right, because the book drops a historical bombshell here.
It does. Through the ship's logs, we learn that the Vor'nai actually visited Earth 300,000 years ago. In the context of the book, they are the ones who taught early humans, specifically in ancient Egypt, about astronomy and mathematics.
So they helped build the pyramids as these harmonic structures.
That's the idea. So they come back thinking, oh, hey, those cute little monkeys we taught math to, maybe they can help us. Maybe they remember us.
And instead, they find us 300,000 years later.
And humanity hasn't become this peaceful, enlightened society. We have evolved into a paranoid, heavily weaponized civilization with orbital defense rings around Earth and Mars. We are terrified of the unknown.
I love this perspective shift. For the first time, we look like the monsters. We look like the Yelleth to them, cold, militaristic, refusing to communicate.
It's a tragedy of errors. The Vor'nai are traumatized refugees. They just want a place to land. But they can't speak our language anymore. Their radio messages aren't getting through.
Or they're just being interpreted as noise. So we get to the climax, the standoff.
The fleet is hanging over Earth. General Harrison, the human commander, is under massive pressure. The logic is simple. Shoot them before they shoot us.
It's basically the prisoner's dilemma from game theory.
Precisely. If both sides trust, both survive. If one side shoots, they survive. Maybe if you hesitate, you die. And General Harrison is acting out of pure fear.
And the Vor'nai, led by Vor'tal, make a fatal choice.
They decide to trust.
They try to use the lattice, that subspace resonance communication, to send a feeling of peace directly to the humans. They try to project empathy.
But think about how that looks on a primitive sensor. To a paranoid human military commander looking at a screen, a massive energy spike doesn't look like a hug. It looks like a weapon charging up.
That's the tragedy. The act of reaching out is interpreted as an act of aggression.
Exactly. And at the exact moment, Vor'tal orders the fleet to drop their shields, to show vulnerability, to say, look, we are not a threat.
General Harrison orders the humans to fire.
It is gut-wrenching. You are literally screaming at the book, no, don't shoot, they dropped their shields.
And here is where the sci-fi element loops back to the very beginning of the book. As the human missiles are launching, thousands of them, described as a rain of reverse stars.
Synapticore, the ancient AI who, remember, is Rella, realizes they are trapped. He can't save the ships in that second. The physics don't work.
So he does something impossible.
He uses the last of his energy to do something impossible. He sends a memory crystal back through time.
Back 300,000 years.
Ugh.
To the past. To the very beginning of human civilization.
And this connects to the prologue. The book actually opens with an archaeologist, Elena Martinez, in present-day Giza.
Right. Elena finds this crystal in a tomb, and when she touches it, she sees the history of the Vor'nai. She sees their fall, she hears their song.
The story is a circle. The message was received 300,000 years before it was sent. It's a paradox, but a poetic one. They ensured they were remembered before they even arrived.
Memory is resistance. Even if we die now, you knew us then.
Precisely. It's about existing across time because someone witnessed you. It validates their existence even if the missiles wipe them out.
So let's get to the ending. Because I was holding my breath. The missiles are in the air, the shields are down, Vor'nab is whispering, we really have no chance. And then,
the book ends.
I wanted to throw my e-reader across the room. But in a good way.
It's a classic literary cliffhanger, but it serves a specific purpose. It's a sustained breath. Nuruzi doesn't show the explosion. He doesn't show the survival. He leaves us in that suspended moment of absolute tension.
It's definitely setting up book 2. But looking at it critically, why end there?
Yeah.
Why not give us the boom or the miracle?
Because the book isn't about the explosion, it's about the choice to be vulnerable. The climax isn't the death. The climax is Vor'tal choosing to drop the shields. It's Rila holding Vor'nab.
It's the decision to sing rather than fight.
And by cutting to black right there, the author forces us to sit with that emotional choice rather than immediately washing it away with action and debris.
That makes sense. It focuses on the humanity or the alien humanity of the moment.
And it reinforces that theme of the cliffhanger, not just as a plot device, but as a state of being. Refugees live in a cliffhanger. They don't know if they will survive the night.
And we, the reader, are put in that same position of uncertainty. We have to live with the fear and the hope simultaneously.
I think it does. And structurally, it reminds me again of magical realism. In those stories, time is often circular or suspended. Physics bends to emotion.
The fact that they send a memory back to ancient Egypt is impossible physics, but perfect poetry.
Exactly.
So, wrapping up this literary analysis, we have a book that blends hard sci-fi concepts, weaponized math, AI consciousness, orbital mechanics, with this deeply soft, sad, beautiful soul.
It's a rare blend. Usually sci-fi is either very pew-pew action or very dry and technical. Exodus Prime sits in this unique middle ground.
It feels distinctly modern. It moves away from triumphalism. We don't win because we have the biggest gun. We might not win at all.
It asks, is survival enough if we lose who we are?
And the characters. I mean, Vor'nab, I need to know if he makes it.
I think we all do. He represents that innocence. If the missiles hit, it's not just an army dying. It's that little crystal toddler who just learned what a rainbow is.
Stop, you're going to make me cry again.
It's effective writing. It makes you care about geometry.
It really is. So what's the final takeaway for our listener? If they pick up Exodus Prime, what are they really getting into?
They are getting into a story that asks, what does it mean to exist if no one is left to witness it? It's a story about the terror of being forgotten.
But it's also hopeful.
It is, because even in the face of annihilation, whether it's the Yelith or the human missiles, the characters choose to sing. They choose connection. They choose to drop the shield and say, here I am.
And visually, I mean, while reading this, I couldn't help but see it on a screen. The imagery is just too strong to stay on the page.
Oh, absolutely. This demands a film adaptation, but it needs to be done right. It can't be a generic blockbuster.
I'm picturing it now, a trilogy of films.
Yes. Visually, it needs that melancholic grand scale. Think of the wide, sweeping shots of Dune, where the ships look like tiny specks against the void, emphasizing how small they are.
And how big the universe is.
Mm.
But mixed with the emotional intimacy of a movie like Arrival, it needs that softness.
Exactly. And the music, it needs to be orchestral, haunting. None of that generic action techno. It needs cellos, it needs choirs, it needs to capture that feeling of a singing city crumbling into silence.
A visual epic that balances the science fiction with that magical realism. Marquez meets Interstellar. That's the pitch.
Hollywood, if you're listening, get on this.
Please do. But for now, we have the book, and I cannot recommend it enough. You have to read Exodus Prime just to see how or if they get out of that mess in Book 2, because those missiles are moving fast.
And the Vor'nab is waiting.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening, and remember, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is drop your shields.
And keep singing.
See you next time.